Hello. I don't think that the Sue Gray report is likely to bring down Boris Johnson or indeed his government, certainly not the latter. The former, there might be a wobble, but I don't think this news in itself is enough to topple Boris. I don't think boos outside St. Paul's or boos during the party at the palace are enough to topple Boris. There have been unpopular prime ministers before, and Boris is not the first. Indeed, it might even be a badge of honour. I think what's most interesting is what some of the former ministers are saying, and in particular Andrea Leadsom. Now, I had dealings with Andrea Leadsom some time ago. Indeed, at one point she was my MP, and she's certainly not somebody who keeps her mouth shut. And she likes to voice her opinion. She doesn't really like to listen. So when she says something which is negative, it's worth pulling it apart and examining what she's saying. Because if somebody wants to go in for the kill, Andrea Leadsom is an excellent person to do so. And I don't think that's what she's doing. She says Boris's failings of leadership cannot be tolerated. Well, that's reasonable. But then she says, my colleagues and I must now decide on the right course of action. Well, that doesn't imply that something is going to happen immediately. That implies a long, slow burn. And I would imagine, because Andrea Leadsom is a very canny politician, I would imagine that she has pretty well the same sort of idea that I've had for some time, that until Boris starts to appoint people from the back benches, the choice of potential successor for Boris is too abhorrent to consider the possibility of toppling the leader at this moment. That's number one. Number two, if Boris feels in any serious doubt, because there's no fixed-term parliament anymore, if Boris were to be extremely clever, and I'm beginning to think he's not that clever, he could call a general election. And if he lost, then then he could step aside and say it wasn't his fault. Of course it's his fault. And Keir Starmer could take over, which I think in the end is likely to happen sooner rather than later. And if he won, then that would give him a further lease of life, which is not an impossibility. Should a vote of confidence be called on Boris by the Conservative Party at this moment, I think it's likely he would win, in which case he will not be toppled and he will probably lead the Conservative Party into the next election and probably fail. But that might explain why there's a delay in toppling Boris at the moment, why there's a delay in people handing in their letters to the 1922 committee, which is the committee of backbenchers, and it has to get 15% of the sitting Conservative MPs to register their no confidence before a no confidence vote is triggered. At the moment, the BBC say they've got about 28. I suspect the number is a little higher than that, but it's still short of the 54 that they need.